Hi guys, he flies kite. That's an active voice. So shouldn't the passive voice be kite flies him? Let's have a look at why am I saying this. So I have been taught that when you say he flies kite, it's an active voice because the subject should come first, then comes the verb, and then the object in an active voice. And in the passive voice, it's just the opposite. First the object comes, then the verb, and then the subject. So if kite is the object, so shouldn't it be kite flies him? Shouldn't that be the passive voice? I know what you guys are thinking, that I've gone crazy. Let me tell you, this is incorrect. Never mind. But I will show you the exact steps how to master the active passive voice. So be it any tense, the first thing you need to know or you need to do in active passive voice is break it into three parts: subject, verb, and object. In this case, he flies kite. You break it. He is the subject, flies is the verb, and kite is the object. So once you have this breakup ready, the second thing you need to do is identify the tense and use the same tense in the passive voice as well. So in the passive voice, the structure will be, for simple present or simple past tense, it's object. In this case, object is the kite, plus is, am, are, was, or were. Now because kite is a singular noun, you can use is. If the sentence would have been past tense, like he flew kite, then you will use was, plus the past participle of the verb. In this case, the verb is flies, so that means fly. The past participle of fly is flown, plus by, and then comes the subject. So here the subject is he, it will become him. You might want to keep this in mind, that in the active voice, if you have he, in the passive voice it will become him. That's the possessive pronoun. She will become her, you will stay the same you, it will be the same it, I will become me. Say for example, if the active voice was I fly kite, then the passive voice will be kite is flown by me. And you can see that the past tense of fly is flew and the past participle is flown. So always use past participle in the passive voice. There is an exception, I'll be covering that later. Moving on, I have few more examples for you. So he flies a kite. How will you break this? He flies and a kite. Again, you'll need to keep in mind that he will become him. So a kite is the object. So when you have an object with you, any words associated with the object should also be considered as an object. In this case, a kite. In the previous example, it was just kite. He flies kite. In this example, it is a kite. So bring the object in the front, that is a kite. You add is, the past participle of flies, that is flown. You add by, and he becomes him. Have a look at this example. She flies a red kite. How will you break this? She is the subject, flies is the verb, and a red kite is the object. So what will the passive voice be? A red kite is flown by her. Similarly, a stone struck her on the head. This is past tense because struck, the present tense for struck is strike, past tense and past participle is struck. So how will you divide this now? A stone, that is the subject, struck is the verb, her on the head. Here you go. A stone is the subject, verb is struck, her is object. What will you do with on the head? Let's have a look. Now when you convert it, her will become she. So you bring the object to the front. The another way to remember the object is object and subject is the doer, one who does the action, and one who receives the action is the object. So in this case, who is receiving the action? She is. So you write she first. So her becomes she, that's the object. Then you write was because it's past tense. Past participle of struck is struck on the head. You might be wondering what to do with on the head. So there you go. By a stone. So did you see the structure? That is, you wrote the object first, then the verb, and the subject came at the end. Whatever was left, we managed it somehow in between. Alright. So moving on. Simple future tense structure. He will fly kite. How will you break this? He is the subject, will fly is a verb, and kite is the object. So in the passive voice, you need to get the object in the front plus will be or shall be. Here, as you're saying, he will fly, so it would be kite plus will be. The past participle of the verb. What is the verb here? Fly. So the past participle of fly is flown plus by. He will become him. Okay, so what is different over here is we need to add will be, or if you have shall in the sentence, along with shall and along with will, you need to add be to it. Rest all the structure remains the same. Moving on, perfect tense structure. He has flown kite. So the best way to identify a perfect tense is it will have either has, have, or had. So you need to maintain this has, have, and had in the passive voice as well. So has will become has been, have will become have been, and had will become had been. So you need to add been in the passive voice along with has, have, and had. So let's break this down. He is a subject, flown is a verb, and kite is the object. So bring the object in the front, that is kite. Then it is has been, have been, or had been. Because the sentence we have has, we'll use has been. The past participle, already flown is a past participle. That is because with has, have, and had, you need to always use the past participle. So you'll write flown plus by. He will become him. That is the subject. What about past or present continuous structure? You may want to note that future perfect tense cannot be converted to passive voice. I have a separate video on which tense or what. There are few rules for sentences which cannot be converted to passive voice. You may have a look at that. So he is flying kite. What does continuous mean? It means there is verb plus ing. He. So how will you break this? He is a subject, flying is a verb, and kite is the object. So first rule is to bring the object in the front, that is kite plus is, and then add being with it. So in this case it is kite is being. The past participle of the verb, in this case flying, will become flown. Add a by, and then comes the subject. He will become him. So what did we do here? If you see a present continuous or past continuous, if you see ing in the verb, you need to add being. That is, if there is, was, or are, or were, along with that add being, B-E-I-N-G, and the past participle of the verb. Just keep this in mind. So that was about the tenses. Now let's move on to interrogative pronouns. What are you writing? Interrogative pronouns is the pronouns which are used to ask questions. So when you have something like this, that is when you have what as an interrogative pronoun, first you break it, you identify the subject and the verb. Once you have done that, the rule for using what is, in the passive voice it will have what is being. So what is, for as we have covered in the previous slide, that is, if it is a continuous tense, you need to write being plus the past participle. The same rule we are following here. So what is being, and the past participle of writing is written. You is a subject, it will come at the end, so hence it will be by you. Now if you have who as an interrogative pronoun, who teaches you grammar? In this case, who is the subject, teaches as the verb. So who will become by whom. By whom are you? Are you, because with you use are. Are you taught grammar? Taught is a past participle of teaches and grammar. Whom are you training? If you have whom as an interrogative pronoun, whom will become who. So here the subject is you and training is a verb. Who is being, is because it's a present tense. Being because again you have a continuous tense, training. When you have a continuous form of a continuous tense, you need to add being. Training will become trained. The past participle of train is trained. What is the subject here? You. So it will become by you. Which teacher taught you? Now, if you use what or which as a subject in the active voice, then in the passive voice, you need to add by what or by which. Here which is acting as a subject and taught is the verb. It's a past tense. So which will become by which, because here which is acting as a subject. By which teacher were. Were because it's a past tense. You and taught. Taught is a past participle of teach. Teach, taught, taught. I have mentioned the rules for using interrogative pronouns here. What will become what? What will remain the what? Remain the same in passive voice as long as it's not used as a subject. Which will remain the same. Who will become by whom. What and which, if it is used as a subject in the passive voice, it will become by what or by which. Whom will become who. I have covered each of this topic in detail with a lot of examples in my blog. I'll be leaving the link to it in the description box. So if you want more examples around this topic, you may refer to the blog. So moving on. Indefinite vague pronouns or understood pronouns. When you have indefinite or vague pronoun like somebody picked my pocket, somebody is an indefinite pronoun. Somebody, anybody. In such cases, when you convert it into a passive voice, you may omit this pronoun. Here somebody is a subject, picked is a verb, my pocket is an object. First thing is to identify subject, verb and object. We did that. Second point is to identify the tense. Because picked is a past tense, this is past, simple past tense. So the object here is my pocket. Bring the object to the front. my pocket. Because it's past tense, you will write was, and the past participle of picked is picked. So my pocket was picked. You need not write by somebody over here. It is indefinite pronoun. You may omit it. And if a sentence has a negative pronoun in the active voice, here none, which is the subject, in such cases the passive voice should also be in negative. Let's have a look how. So here first step is to identify subject, verb and object. None is a subject, saw is a verb, the king is the object. In the palace we'll fit it somewhere. Let's have a look how. So first thing is you need to omit none. So the king is the object, it will come towards the front. Was because it's past tense. Now as the active voice has a negative pronoun, you need to use not, and then the past participle of the verb saw is seen in the palace. What are we omitting here? We would be writing it as, if we follow the general rule, it should be the king was not seen in the palace by none or whatever. So you are omitting none in this case, right? So negative pronouns will convert to negative sentence in passive voice. And here are the present, past and past participle of the verbs used here. Nobody can change destiny. Nobody is again an indefinite pronoun. So first step is to identify subject, verb and object. Once you do that, bring the object towards the front, and because it's an indefinite pronoun, nobody can be omitted. So destiny can will become cannot because it's negative sentence. Add a be and changed. Destiny cannot be changed. Alright, then destiny is object, changed is a verb. Changed is the past participle of change. In few cases you may omit the usage of by. Have a look at these. I know you. So when you say in passive voice, you will say you are known to me. You will not say you are known by me. So there are cases where instead of using by, you will use at, with, in, to, etc. The governor's sudden arrival surprised everyone. Everyone was surprised at governor's sudden arrival. Did you see what happened here? You wrote at instead of by. Do you know him? This will be, is he known to you? Right. Infinites. What is an infinite? An infinite is to plus a verb. So when you say John is to write a book, first step is to identify the subject, verb and object. John is a subject, to write is the infinite verb. A book is the object. How to convert it? A book will come from first, because it's present tense is. So to here becomes to be, and write will become the past participle, that is written, plus add by and the subject, that is John. You were to complete the work. Identify the subject, verb and object. You is the subject. To complete is infinite verb. The work is the object. How will you convert this to a passive voice? Bring the object to the front, the work. Because it's a past tense, you will write was. To will become to be. Complete will become completed, which is the past participle, plus by, plus you will remain the same, that is you, which is the subject. Alright. Now if the active voice has an order or a command, like bring a glass of water. So if there is a sentence in active voice which is either an order or a command and it has an object in the sentence, here bring is a verb and a glass of water is an object. So if the object is specified in the active voice, in passive voice it will be let followed by the object. Here the object is a glass of water plus be plus the past participle. The past participle of bring is brought. Let a glass of water be brought. Now if the object is not specified, for example, go out. Go out is a command and there is no object specified, it's just a verb. In such cases, in the passive voice, begin the sentence with you are ordered or you are commanded to. So you are ordered to go out or you are commanded to go out. Have a look at permission, request and advice. Obey teachers. This is an advice. So obey is the verb and teachers is the object. So if the object is specified in the active voice, the passive voice structure will be object plus should be. Here object is teachers plus should be plus the past participle. The past participle of obey is obeyed. And when there is no subject specified, like please come, here you only have the verb. In this case, you need to start the passive voice with you are requested to or you are allowed to or you are advised to and the verb, that is come. You may notice that in this case you are requested to come, you are not using you don't have to use the past participle, because when you use an infinite like to plus verb, it should always be present tense. Please don't sing loudly. This is again a request. Identify the verb sing, and because it's a request you will say you are requested. Don't will become not. Add to. Sing will become sing and loudly. So that's it for now guys. Please check the links in the description box for more examples and more description for my blog, and do subscribe to my channel for more videos. I'll be uploading a new video every day at 7 p.m. and give a thumbs up if you like the video. Also share it with your family and friends. So bye guys, have a nice day.